Thank you. Tonight, Thursday, March 5th, 2020, our regularly scheduled Board of Selectmen meeting. Tonight, we are holding it at the Douglas Library Community Room, which we usually do for the month of March, because this is when we're also doing the budgets. I ask that we please all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, this next section of the meeting is for public comment, and that's for people in the audience who wish to briefly address the Board of Selectmen. Yes?
Just a quick, now like there's 62 Wellsford Road, just a quick update on the school project. We've got everything ready to go. The work will start during the April break. We're now working on a schedule to coordinate with the contractor and with the maintenance staff, with the wage staff for the summer work. And we should be in good shape in our costs right now. We're still well underway.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
Next. Okay.
Good to know. So with us, we have Diane Nadeau, and she's here to speak about the upcoming Maple Fest, which is March 21st to 22nd. And she's assured us that we're going to have good weather.
I put my permit request in to God Almighty, Mother Nature. I put in as many applications as possible. Next week's going to be 60 to 65 degrees, so
One can.
I
Hope it lasts.
We'll take that.
Does anybody have any specific questions? I can kind of give you a brief update. We have a lot of requests for vendors this year. We do limit the type of them, so we want to make sure every vendor is successful and sells a lot of whatever they sell. So for food vendors, for example, we don't have 2 people doing hot dogs or 2 people doing tacos or whatever. So it has to be something new, and you kind of limit the major food items so that everybody will buy enough from the ones that are there. But we have turned away quite a few food trucks because they're repeats, and it's kind of cool. Maybe we'll have 2 food truck vendors show or something at some point. The best of. But the library should be full with art vendors in here, artists. We're going to be using the whole back side. Most of the food trucks will be in the back. Vendors will be all through here. Vendors are going to be up the sidewalk, up the driveway in front of the Historical Society, across their sidewalk, and we'll have vendors all the way over into the parking lot in front of something simple. So it's really expanded. A couple of cool activities this year. You know that we have the parade on Sunday. We have the quilt show over here at the Historical Society, but we have a lumberjack team. It's like a gold medal winning lumberjack team that will be here sawing and cutting and doing all kinds of lumberjacking things so people can see them.
Okay.
I love that stuff.
Yeah, it's very cool. And how fast they do it's amazing. If you've ever had to chop a piece of wood, it's like, I don't know what I made, so I'm not good. But we have a chainsaw carver. The weather is good for them, but not bad for us. If it's cold, we have ice carvers coming. There is a blacksmith that will be making some blacksmith little things, because you can't bring a big huge forge, but a little forge to make some blacksmith things. A lot of extra kids activities. When I say kids, not 2-year-olds, but the 5 to 10-year-old kid. We did have a complaint last year that the 16-month-old child, there was just not enough activities for them to do.
But they're older this year, so.
Whatever. All the food vendors are required to do something maple, so even the lobster truck will be doing a lobster maple butter theater. And some of the stuff last year I thought was like, ooh, like there's maple white pizza, but it was a big hit and people loved it and they sold out of that. So.
And maple bacon.
Maple bacon is the #1 thing. It certainly is. Yes, and it was really crazy that I'm glad there were no doctors that came to the festival because people were walking around with like 6 things of huge, thick bacon, chewing gum. So it's one of the best things that we have. So lots of activities, lots of vendors. There's probably, we're at about 130 vendors. Some of the, not everybody pays, the town vendors and stuff are for free. And I'm getting them in now like crazy. So we will eventually, very soon, run out of spots. So that'll be.
Are we still utilizing space at the schools?
No,
Okay,
we're not renting any of the schools. They're
everything's gonna be here in the center?
yep,
Except for
everything's
the
here.
parking lots.
The parking lot, so we still have, and encourage everyone to park at Rand, get on the bus, and get dropped off. And then the bus goes back to Rand. So it's literally like every 5 minutes. And it was very helpful to try to get a count of people last year by how many people were getting off from the buses. And that was only about 50% of the people parked that way. So this will give us an idea of the count. We're not using the inside of schools.
Keeping everything downtown, that's
Yeah.
much better.
Now, I know I see the sign up for the Lions are doing a pancake breakfast on Sunday. Is anything happening on Saturday?
We're working on it. So
Okay.
We're looking for volunteers.
St. Peter's
okay.
Church has given us their facility to do a pancake breakfast for Saturday. So the goal is, and I'd like to say that we're going to do a pancake breakfast at St. Peter's on Saturday morning, and then the Lions Club will be on Sunday morning. We're trying to gather up enough volunteers to make sure that happens. But I think we're,
Going off.
yeah, I think we're.
Okay.
Where's the woodsman show gonna be?
People, I'm sorry, you offer men in particular free pancakes with maple syrup, they will do it.
Okay.
At least the men in my family love
Yeah.
that.
And that's all. That's all.
Okay. Any other questions in general? The tractor parade's got quite a few people already signed up for it, and I guess a lot of them just show up, so if a lot show up with who's already responded, they should have a good 45, 50 tractors, which is huge.
What time's that start?
1 o'clock on Sunday.
And then you're having a grand opening this year.
Yeah, so that's different. We're doing a opening ceremony and like a ribbon cutting, which will be here at up by the info booth, which is near the circle up here, the old town hall. Thank you. By the way, this is Pam Atwood. She's with the Chamber of Commerce. She's our board of directors chairperson, and she's helping out as the most beautiful Maple Festival chairperson ever.
Hebron resident. It's all good.
So the opening ceremony, Kathy Alston and Robin Green will be there to present a nice citation that looks really
Nice.
pretty that you can all hang someplace. And we will be crowning the Miss Maple at that thing and at the ceremony, and the Maple guy will be there making his mapley happiness. Anybody that would like to be in the picture, I would love for you all to come and be there as part of the ceremony, because it is a town celebration, and he said he would be there.
And for Miss Maple, all we're asking is that the girls write an essay about what they love about living in Hebron.
Yep, that's the concept.
We sent that out today.
You
to all-
did, and I thanked Dorian and said you need to give her a raise. I like to tell everybody to say that to you. So yes, Miss Maple is aiming the girls between 5 and 15. They write an essay. There's no other specifications other than to write about why they love to live in Hebron. And we'll pick the best one there and crown them. They get to ride in the parade on Sunday with their tiara and a banner.
Key to the city.
We have the key to the city too.
Put a scroll.
Maybe we'll have one of those wood carvers carve one out.
So I think it's great. See,
Right, the ribbon cutting is 10 a.m.
10 a.m. Yep, so that's the official start of the event that day.
And that's gonna be at the Old Town Hall, or where's that?
Right here, right up here at the entranceway.
By the Hebron sign, or the circle. You
And
know, this ground circle with this.
Oh, yes, okay.
1708.
Might be a few minutes later, if Mark does a good job of getting all the vendor cards out for us.
Okay.
I'll try.
Gooding
Do
them
my
out,
best.
then we'll be
Okay.
able to do it in a second.
That's what we're here long before this.
Perfect. And I want to thank the chamber for taking on this event. Years ago, this is a 30th year, I think it
This
is.
is the 30th, yeah.
And it was all started by local maple growers, and sadly, through attrition, there are very few of the people left. And my hat goes off to the chamber for helping Hebron and picking this up. I think it is an incredibly good event for the town, and I'm glad to see that it's continuing. And I think it's probably about the first bazaar or whatever event, literally, at least that I can think of in Eastern Connecticut, for the year.
Yeah.
So we spearhead the upcoming of spring.
For probably 28 out of those 30 years, we were the only maple festival of any sort in Connecticut. So we were in all of the New England states. This was the official Connecticut Maple Festival.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a couple more that are,
Trying.
but we still are listed in the same places as the official Connecticut Maple Festival. It's the third year. There's been a lot of publicity already. I know that Ron Wenzel has done a TV show, I'm not sure what channel, but I have interviews this week and next week with 10 different radio shows, both on 1080, TIC and NPR, all kinds of radio shows, NBC, Fox. So you'll hear during the festival on 1080, they'll continuously say, are you down there? Are you having fun? So having the news coverage has been awesome for us, and I think what happened, we had a lot of coverage last year. I think that's what really got people to come. We had about 8,000 people last year that came to the festival.
That's fantastic.
Between the 2 days. And Saturday was freezing cold, and they still came out.
Yeah.
Sunday was better. So if it's going to be 50 degrees, this say the weather holds out and it's 50 degrees this year, I think it'll be very overwhelming. Yeah.
I just want to say from the Chamber's perspective, Diane and I started our day this morning working on a strategic planning project with the Board of Directors for the Chamber. And I thank you for saying thanks to the Chamber, but thank you, the municipalities partnering with the Chamber. It's so important, and truly Hebron is a model for all of the other towns that we work with as a Chamber, because your partnership in creating something that really is about the economic vitality of the town is really so part and parcel to our mission. So we thank you for your partnership with us on this.
So I'll add to that, and that you guys know how you all operate, and sometimes you might roll your eyeballs and say, oh, it's crazy here in town, but it's not. I work with 18 different communities. Andy is by far the best town leader ever to work with.
Should you have a raise?
You should have a raise too.
Okay.
Double.
Oh.
It's yes. But
Put the gentle away.
with all sincerity though, it's very easy to work with the town here. The departments have been extremely supportive, Public Works, safety. Andy, we have meetings. If I call him a panic, he's always responsive no matter what. And it's just been, it's really nice to work with nice people that want to work with us. We appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
You have a good town. You have good people in your town.
Try.
You have really good employees.
I try to tell everybody it's like the Mayberry
You know, I'm surprised how many people come through with the information. I never knew this town existed. Oh my God, this is such a cute little town. It's so great, so wonderful. So, get a lot of good publicity.
Thank you.
Thanks, Diane.
You're welcome.
So you have things in the referees like on Friday beforehand?
Yes.
Do you need like letters to the editor or anything like that to help? Or?
I think anybody can write a letter to the editor would be great. That would be awesome. We usually do another interview and send them like a list of the major events, not all of the vendors, but the major events, so that they can highlight that in their story. Both the Chamber website and the Maple Festival website will have a downloadable list of activities. And then we do the program. So ideally, I would love to say the program should be out right now and should be everywhere in town, that you can read and see what's happening. However, so many people come in at the last minute, and the advertisers wait till past the last minute.
Yeah.
So they'll probably be ready a couple of days before the event. But those are, 5x7 color little booklets that have information about the town and festival activities, the schedule, a kind of a town map to show where the sugar houses are. It's pretty simple. Yep. Any other questions?
No, good job, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good week. Budgets?
That's not, this is
We're
what
back
it's
to the
not.
Hollywood
Next
Court. See you
Tuesday.
later.
Yes, that's always fun. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Diane.
You're invited to stay.
It's
only a couple more hours.
Fun for me. So I need to,
Take care. Okay, Mr. Chair, I guess per Peter's request, we've moved the town manager's report up, so I guess that's next on the agenda. So I don't have a lot because most of the activities were budget, but we do have some. So, of course, as you well know, we got the budget out and it was presented. One of the things that we're being dogged with right now is trying to get our audit completed. We're having a little bit of trouble with that. But I reached out to our auditing firm yesterday, and I think we have a verbal agreement to try to have it finalized by the end of this month. We've gotten a couple extensions through OPM at the state, and we're going to continue to work through some of these hurdles and get that done. And I'm pretty sure the Board of Finance, and I know the Finance Director will be recommending that we do another RFP for an auditing firms next year. I'll leave it at that. So that's been taking up a lot of our time. We're trying to get that done so we can, doesn't affect our bonding for the projects that we have coming up. We continue to go into negotiations with the supervisors union. So we had that last week, and we have another meeting coming up later in the month. That seems to be going okay, but we won't know until it's over. So I met with the administrators from Andover and Marlboro in regards to the impact of the two towns, or actually the three towns, with the program budget and the percentage that it's at. So we're looking to possibly do a joint letter from the administrators to the chairman of the regional board and ask them to possibly consider reducing their budget because of the impact that it's having on the towns that make up Wayne. Marlboro is facing a $700,000 bump between that and the levy, which is a mill for them. And Andover is looking at around a $500,000 bump, which is 2 mills for them. So the letter is going to be suggestive, but we hope the Board of Education can do their best to try to trim that down, get it below a 3, or even better would be great, but it's really impacting the other two towns more than us this year because our levy went down from what it was, but we were still hoping to get a little bit bigger of an increase back to offset our budget. So we spent a little bit of time on that. There's been a little bit of letter writing, and in between the three towns, there's always 3 different opinions on what you should say, but we're trying to zero in on that, and that should be coming out shortly. If there's any comments regarding that.
Well, I think it's great, and I think that a unified front from all the participants is definitely an important step.
As administrators, the struggle is the mechanism of the regional school. We don't have a checks and balance with the Board of Finance because it's regional. You have the regional meeting, which is pretty much not heavily attended, and that's pretty much it till it goes to the public hearing and to the voters. So we're trying to be a little bit proactive. I hope we're not trying to give it a sting or overstep our bounds with the boards of ed. We know that they're empowered to make decisions, but we have some declining enrollment up there, and I think we can trim a little bit. And I hope they would try to do that.
Andy, when you present the impact on the towns, I know there's sensitivity around, you can't really suggest anything, but other than declining enrollment, are you thinking about how to suggest where maybe there could be savings, or you can't even go
They're kind of, the other two administrators are kind of going, I really wanted to stay away from that because I don't want to insult the Board of Ed, that's what they're empowered to do. But the student population to the administrative ratios are, we have statistics and they're a lot higher. And the cost per student is a lot higher than around. So we just, if they could take a look at those things, I know they got away from some revenues which were a pay to play, and I personally don't have a problem with that, but there's another couple things that didn't really make sense, and we want to take a look at that, so we might suggest some things like that.
And that's one of the things that I noticed, and I made mention of it Tuesday night, is they are looking at a CIP plan of roughly $450,000. That's for one facility. We're twice that for the entire county. It just seems askew, and maybe it's not, but you know, at first glance, it just seems skewed.
They did eliminate the pay to play, which was $160,000, but I gotta support that because, you know, those kids, I think it's important that high school kids be involved. There's so many problems with, they're talking about mental health in the high school and the problems that they're having. Again, it's not like when I was in high school, we had different problems, but when, when 10% of the student body is assigned to a social worker, I think we need to have professionals there. On the other hand, you know, the number of students is going down, not only this year, but pretty precipitously next year and the next 4 years. So we should plan for that, and you know, we'll see what I actually saw a presentation yesterday from Marlboro, but see it again, I guess, and see what she has to say.
Yeah. So as you just heard, we've been diligently working with the Maple Fest Committee, trying to get that laid out. And then the other big topic that's becoming bigger every day is the coronavirus. So, believe it or not, there's plenty of planning that needs to be done. So we have Chatham Health coming in to speak to the department heads Monday morning. What does that mean? They're going to the senior center Thursday, and then they're going to be here at 1 o'clock for the community on the 12th. So just to give them updates, best practice of what you can do. I've met with the emergency preparedness manager, Paul, the trooper, fire department. There's things that you wouldn't think of, but you have to sanitize the backs of the ambulances, you have to have protocols in place for the people that are treating the sick people and what they should do. We're getting notifications from Governor Lamont about having backup people for the elections, moderators, town clerks, things like that. It's really, it's the real deal. So we're in protection mode. We're wiping down the light switches and the door handles, and you know, in the facilities, the railings and things like that. We're going to try to do that on a daily basis and get all the departments to do that.
Elbow bumps.
Elbow bump.
No handshakes.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's taken up a little bit of time, but that's okay. We're going to be proactive. I know the newspaper, that's a topic that she called me on, the River East. I know that was Mike Thompson's big thing, so maybe earlier in the week, Sloan didn't think that was that important, but it's really starting to pop on the news, and they're not letting cruise ships in off of California. I mean, that's something to start worrying about. So we'll monitor that. That's all I have for that, but I have some correspondence I think we need to discuss. From Amy Doyle, she submitted that letter. It was in your packet. And it's, we're looking to have a proclamation for May 14th for APRAC's Awareness Day. APRAC's of speech is a very misunderstood and very challenging speech disorder. And our kids need your help. So the letter's looking for you, if you so inclined, to do a proclamation for that day.
So what is our town history on proclamation? There's a lot of wonderful things that get put forward, but we can't recognize them all. So what's the town history?
I think it's been pick or choose. There's no real written policy that it's up to the discretion of the board. But
having worked in schools, this is a very, very serious speech impediment. And if the child is having much trouble communicating with their peers, then they're the outcast on the playground. Or if they get older with other social events. And then you're talking about the child who will end up needing counseling. So, when I read that letter, I said, we should. I'm for it.
My concern is, not concern, but my interest is in having consistency with how we respond to this type of request, because there's no question, just no one can question whether or not this is a serious situation, but we should have some form of consistency as to how we recognize, or how we respond to these requests. So we don't exclude or pick, or as you said, pick or choose. If they start picking and choosing, I don't think it's a good idea. So I would just say as a board, we should be thinking about how do we consistently respond this consistently and fairly to any request like this. There's no question that this is, you know.
We have discussed it, and we were supposed to try to come up with some sort of guidelines for this, and it's just never happened. We've never come up with the guidelines.
Fortunately, you don't get that.
Yeah, well, then that's a bad thing, is we don't get enough requests to keep it in.
Tie your hands either.
Yeah,
I think an important start is if you're a 501c3, you're a federally recognized charity, a
Right.
That's what I was gonna
nonprofit.
use that designation.
Yes, well, so that's not an easy thing to get because they have to apply for it, and you're legitimate if you're
Done it.
a nonprofit.
mhm.
Yeah, it's not
Seems
easy.
like
Well, it's about
100%.
28 pages that you have to fill out.
Doesn't seem to be a downside to this.
No,
No, I agree.
But I would just ask that, and I don't think so either, I just think going forward, we have some sort of, we're willing to do this, and what we are looking for a few things, which maybe this triggers, just so the next board,
Yes.
the next time,
Yeah.
maybe we don't necessarily like, if this one's an easy one, but what about the next one that might be a little bit more challenging, we may all agree on the recognition, but what are the requirements that allow us to fairly assess the request?
I think one, there could be more than one, but it probably should be a nonprofit and not profiting off us doing proclamations or credence to what you're doing.
Well, I was gonna say, we could ask CCM, if they have any kind of guidance, any other towns have anything.
Yeah, that's exactly, I was waiting for you to get done.
Yeah.
Not political.
Check
there's
with the other
another
towns
one
to
to throw in there.
protocol on that.
And your 501c3 is not political stuff.
No, but that's the good one, it's not political, it's part of, it's part of
Yeah.
It's a
tax.
No, you can't. No. There's another designation that looks like that, but it's not a 501c3.
Okay.
You have to have a purpose like education.
Yes. Necessary.
Okay, so you want to take action on that?
We will, I'll make a motion that we favorably recognize the request of
Amy Doyle.
Amy Doyle for the proclamation for the apraxia awareness day, which will be May 14th.
That's it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay.
But we're gonna move forward with establishing some code. As is, yes?
I
Agree with that?
definitely, and I,
So can add that to the business meeting for after the budget season.
yes,
Yeah,
well,
we'll look in right away.
I'll look at it right away.
CCM is so wonderful.
What we would or should ask is that it be put on the agenda as new business and keep it there until they're able to come up with some sort of information. Even if there's no action to be taken, at least if it's on there, it'll tickle our minds.
Yeah, with the asterisk, it doesn't get lost.
Thank you.
And then the last correspondence is, there's 2 cards of appreciation from John Saddleberg, thanking everyone for his retirement and his gift. So that'll get passed around.
Okay. And I'm assuming they're staying in town.
John and his wife, yeah.
Very too long. Where's he gonna go?
It's a program right here.
Okay.
Next on the agenda would be old business. And it says review of the town of Hebron's committees and commissions and update the village committee in charge. We haven't done that. We've been diligently busy with the budget, so that's one of those things that's on the agenda to keep us reminding, so we didn't get to that. And we just did Maple Fest. We had put this on the agenda. Next would be item C on the old business, discuss the fire department EMS study committee. So we had the workshop. Immediately after that, had to get our budget together and present it for a charter, and we did that. The one thing I did is not include the new fire chief in the budget at this time. I think I got the vibe that we wanted to vet that or have a study committee look into that before we pull that trigger. I know that's not what the fire department wanted to hear, but we did add in this budget extra monies to cover shifts on the ambulance during the evening hours to try to fill those voids. And so this isn't a hard no, it's just let us research what we're going to do with a study committee, that input from the fire department and other people that would be appropriate to see if this is in fact what's needed at this time as well.
I'd like to make a comment about that. The fire chiefs and those present at our study, at our workshop, feel that they did a study for us and did all the research for us and presented it to us, and now we're going to study it again. So they're a little bit offended by that. I just wanted to convey that, their message and how they feel about what happened there.
Yeah, the study's one-sided. It's from the fire department. We would be the smallest town in Connecticut to have the first-time fire chief. So I think there's other aspects that they didn't bring up on the town side. It's $1 million operation a year now. So I think they gave us very good information, and that would help the study committee a lot. But I still think we have to look at what a full-time ambulance company would cost us. There's a couple other avenues that weren't entertained that we might have to exhaust to get people to get behind it and support this. So once again, it's not a hard no. I just think there's some questions that weren't answered.
So we had the workshop because we were concerned that shifts weren't being done. And they gave us a really good overview, and we acted on that problem, that immediate problem. So that's hopefully solved for the short term. And then we said there were three things we had to look at: short term, medium term, and long term. And that's the purpose of the task force. And everything should be on the table. So it's not like we declined that.
Right.
Just before I forget, there's somebody that wants to be on the task force. Nikki Matthews is a paramedic in town. She'd be great. So put that out there.
I think the task force is needed because even though we had all that information that night, if you get a well-rounded task force, then when you come out and present to the public that, oh, the little town of Hebron is hiring a full-time chief, the data will be there to back it up.
Right. Yeah. All the towns are struggling with, services because the volunteerism is down throughout the state. And we want to support our fire department. I don't think there's anybody that doesn't want to support it, but we really have to be pertinent with how we do that with the money. And as Gail just said, this is just to completely vet what we're going to do and be able to explain when we have $100,000+ increase to the department that this is needed and this is the actual legwork that was done to prove it.
I say this is one of the times that I agree we need to do a task force. We, the Board of Selectmen, are going to be aware of this. We've got to be knowledgeable of all the pros and cons. A full-time fire chief would still be one bond during the day. If it is personnel that they're having problems with, a full-time chief would be one person. Not saying that in time, it's not going to be necessary, because I have advocated for an ambient chief for years. I started the process 10 years ago. But they need people, they need bodies, they need, feet on the ground. And if we are going to take ownership of it, we have got to be really well versed in all of the aspects of this problem, and we need to see all of the potential solutions. And all other towns literally are suffering a lot of the same situations. It's not a Hebron problem. This is a state and even national problem. We've talked about regionalization. Will it work? I don't know. I have reservations on the fire service about regionalization. A lot of places out west have regional fire departments, but we have as many people in Hebron as they have in the whole county. So, these are some of the things we got to look at. There's so many things that we need to look at, and it's only going to be done by a wide range of study committees.
So I was struck yesterday in Marlboro, they're having the same issues we are. But one of the points of contention they had was they're buying a $49,000 command vehicle. Which, but I'm just thinking, they bought it?
I saw it the other day, I think, big treasure truck.
Or is it? I mean, is that something, being neophyte here on this, but is that something if we had a more regional approach? Would that be something that we should share? Or?
Once again, it was kind of territorial. We kind of already, in trying to show our support for the fire department, we've bought these vehicles here. So we have a full-time fire chief's vehicle. We bought the maintainers. There's new vehicles in all the stations, the pickups. So we've been really trying to give them what they need to.
And so just in listening to the first selectman, I was struck by how important we are to their strategy. It just is. And Columbia Fire Chief came to the workshop and same thing.
Yeah.
So
Marlboro's lucky. I don't know what the difference is, but maybe it's just luck. But I had the head of the EMS response in my office today. That's the little girl that's going to do the garbage bags. Her father is the head of the EMS in Marlboro. And they just got, I don't want to say a bunch, but several new young members that are EMTs, and they're filling the void. So I don't know what that attraction was over there, but maybe we should try to see what it was and see if we can't try to get more members here to help. So I know they were having, when Doug Nolting died, who went almost on every call. I mean, that was a huge void to fill. And so when I talked to Mark Merritt, he said, no, they're doing good. They got a bunch of young guys that just joined. So I'm like, wow, we have to figure out what's going on.
So I know it talks about the discussion of the composition of the committee. Are we at a point or a suggestion that should we be sort of moving forward with some sort of next steps, outline goals in the next few minutes, just so we can keep this moving? But I think that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we formalize the study task force and convene it? That's the next logical step, then, having listened to all of you.
Well, what I would, if this is suffice for what you're suggesting, if you agreed, empower the town manager and my staff, we'll come back with a scenario similar to what we did with the ambulance study committee with the makeup of it, the number of people we think is appropriate, and you guys can decide or alter or add or delete.
Okay.
We'll try to get that for the next meeting.
Good.
Does that work, Peter?
Let's do that. That's great. That sounds
Yes,
good.
that sounds good by me.
How did you convene the police task force?
we made a resolution. We circulated the idea of you and Andy, and we were looking for people in the community that had specific expertise. That's why I recommend Nikki. She's a professional. So, and they were fantastic to have that kind of expertise come and give us some depth. They have jobs around in other towns, which I'm now finding really is helpful at getting this comparison of how people do it. Because
Dan and I volunteered to be part of the committee, and we need 2 fine members who are productive like those members were on the task force.
Yeah.
And you brought out outside people from different communities, as you just stated, to bring a different perspective.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If we can find, you know, towns that have gone through it,
Yes.
similar or maybe larger than us, you know, because we'll be growing, and give their story of how they went through it, and how they handled things. That's, you know, like I said, the Glastonbury police chief was fantastic.
Yeah, he was.
He gave us a lot of good information. Yeah.
What do you think about that, Dan?
I'm amenable
Okay.
to whatever, I just want to see something get going forward. You know, I would suggest a body of maybe 7 people. You start getting too big, I don't know if you want to 9.
7 to 9, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You start getting bigger, it gets unmanageable. You know, that's what we don't want to have happen either. I think Andy, as the town manager, should have either himself or a designee. You know, especially when you start talking different aspects of the finances and stuff like that, we have to have, you know, somebody, I would say, from the administrative end of the town.
Well, I would think that the task force would create a policy and some ideas, and then Andy can work out what the administrative and financial part of it is. But it should be conceptual at first from the
Yeah.
task force. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I would also say, it would be important to get people that don't work in the field. I think maybe the police task force was a little bit tilted too far, you know, toward people that were working in the field. So having, you know, financial people would be helpful. You know, accountants, like accountants. No, really, I mean, people that, you know, that can look at a spreadsheet and look out and say, does this make sense? And other people, you know, balance it.
But you have to have people that have got at least a basic understanding of emergency services.
Oh, absolutely.
We don't have time for a learning curve. Yeah,
Right.
uh,
I would think that would be the second step, John. We're just trying to create the best system we can from experts on how to deal with what we're confronted with here. And like you did, I think that's what you guys did.
There may be people out there, you know, that have both, but
That's true.
the Marlboro First Selectman is, you know, is a member of the fire department.
He's a member of the fire
And he's a
department.
CPA and a
Also-
lawyer, so.
He also,
Drives the ambulance.
he also volunteered, he actually paid,
He'd be some, is that who you're suggesting? Because that
So
sounds like
you can't really be on it, I mean, you might want to,
be a presenter.
yeah. but-
Okay? So how we select presenters is important too, to contribute to us formulating the plan.
I mean, yeah, you really have to vet it, and you know, like I went around, I talked to a lot of different police chiefs around the state, and Glastonbury is good because, well, one of the things, I grew up in Glastonbury, so I know that, you know, Glastonbury grew from 14,000 to whatever they are now, 43,000, and, you know, we're gonna grow, you know, in the next couple of years, but eventually we'll grow, and it's just good to have that experience.
I also recommend the chief officer and knowing that Dan Puppy, you know, as his experience retired from the Manchester Fire Department, may be a person to consider.
Well, I'll put something together, it won't be any carved in stone, and come back to you, you guys to move around any way you want. Approve, disapprove, add, or delete, so. I got the 7 to 9 people, I agree with that, but it's not about what I want to do. I'm sure the chief will want the tour, chief would want to be on there as well.
Absolutely.
And then we'll, like Mark said, John suggested somebody in town, if they're willing to serve on that at the time. We'll go down that road and we'll show you what we got. And you can-
The other thing
Sounds good.
that we could do, I think it was good, was that we made it a short fuse, and we're meeting every week.
Yeah.
So it's 4 weeks, 5 weeks, get it done. And if you need to do more, that's fine, but, you know, keep it focused.
Well, and the other that is if it is something that is going to involve, again, financial decisions, it needs to be done before we finalize the budget, potentially. Whether or not that'll happen, I don't know. Especially the long-term bit, but we at least have to have some sort of idea.
So do you think we can include this in this budget? I was thinking.
I'm afraid, I don't think so, but
What do you think, yeah?
I don't think so.
That's,
I don't think we could get this done effectively.
no,
by
that's,
this
I don't
year.
think,
So-
I don't think that,
that's
it'd
gonna
be good to do it, but that's not a variant. If we approve that and we need to grab some money, we go to Board of Finance and say, this is what came out of it for public safety for Hebron. I'm pretty sure.
The EMT thing is
Dependent on
awesome, it has to be done.
Yeah.
That's a no-brainer, we have to do that.
I think our charge at this point is, as John suggested, you have to take time, and at least come back with kind of
Right.
recommendations, then the timing goes relative to the budget, obviously have to be better out, but I'm not in favor of having this drag out. I think we have to put a timeline on it, and just, here it is, and then we can react accordingly, and get the budget conversation out.
It's intense in about 5 weeks or so.
So we'll come back at the next meeting, just to have to still bear in mind, it's budget season, we're meeting 2 nights a week in the budget now, plus and I know others have other meetings too, so you're gonna be out 4 nights a week. Not that that's a deterrent, but it might start a little bit later than, let's get March kind of, the calendar's kind of full. But we're moving in the right direction, and we're not trying to, I agree with John, once we get it going, I think it's gotta go, but I think it's gonna be tied up with budget for a little while. Don't wanna burn everybody out, including the firemen, they're busy too. All right, good, we'll keep that on the agenda, and then at the next agenda, we'll come back with, I'll talk with the chief, and we'll come back with some sort of outline, and you guys can. So without further ado, we have Sharon here from our senior center. Does a great job. She's here to talk about grants. The North Central Area Agency on Aging, Inc., NCAAA. I always thought that was basketball, but she's here to tell you something different.
Central Area Agency on Aging. So the North Central Area Agency on Aging receives federal Older Americans Act dollars that they then are able to distribute through RFPs that are submitted. And we've been submitting these same 3 grants for many years now. So one for transportation, one for fitness, and one for outreach. They do look for an in-kind match, and all of the in-kind match is existing dollars that are already incorporated into our budget. So a percentage of the operation of the senior center, percentage of our time, et cetera. So there's no layout of actual dollars through any of these grants. So if you have any questions on any of them in particular, you know that the senior population is growing dramatically. It's now 23.8% of the population and continuing to go up, especially the 80-plus population.
And you've already stated that these quite literally are the same grants that we apply for every year anyways. So there's no changes within them except for the fact that now everything is how you enter the information.
Right.
Now, the funding seems is a little bit less this year than what we're accustomed to. And some of these, the amount less.
No, I mean, with these grants, theoretically, you're supposed to be decreasing the amount that you're relying on from the Area Agency on Aging. So I calculated these so that basically we're looking for a third of what the actual expense is.
Okay.
We don't get the dollars that we ask for. I mean, they only have so much money, and then the pie needs to get divided. So what happens is they award whatever it is they're going to award, and then we make the figures fit through either decreasing the amount of service units, or otherwise manipulating.
Okay. Even though our population is growing. Okay.
And because they only have so many dollars.
So we correlate the grant with the matching funds, so the matching fund with the grant dollars as a, is that, I mean, is what?
Okay, so as you can see from the budgets that were presented, all of the matching dollars are in kind. So it's a certain percentage of my time, a certain percentage of heating the building. A certain percentage of the fuel that we're expending for the vehicles. So it's existing dollars that are already incorporated in the budget. So this really is an offset. There also is another grant that's not before you this evening, but it's another grant that we get from the Connecticut Department of Transportation that also helps to support our transportation service.
Sure. All right, the first one, move that the Hebron Board of Selectmen approves the grant application in the amount of $22,132 with $44,247 in matching funds from the Hebron van budget for the fiscal year 2021 North Central Area Agency on Aging, Inc., Hebron Expanded Transportation Project Grant, and that Town Manager Andrew J. Tierney be authorized to apply for, accept, and receive this grant, and to sign any necessary documents.
Okay, hearing the motion, is there any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So be it.
Be the next one.
Sure, this is for the health and wellness promotion.
Yeah, just the fitness program. Move that the Hebron Board of Selectmen approve the grant application in the amount of $19,500 with $40,042 in matching funds from the Senior Center budget for the fiscal year 2021 North Central Area Agency on Aging, Inc., Hebron Physical Fitness, Health, and Wellness Promotion Project Grant, and that Town Manager Andrew J. Tierney be authorized to apply for, accept, and receive this grant, and to sign any necessary documents.
Okay, again, any discussion on the motion? Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So be it.
And we have one more. This is the social services outreach. Move that the Hebron Board of Selectmen approve the grant application in the amount of $26,922 with $54,887 in matching funds from the Hebron van budget for the fiscal year 2021 North Central Area Agency on Aging, Inc., Hebron Social Services Outreach and Information and Referral Project Grant, and that Town Manager Andrew J. Tierney be authorized to apply for, accept, and receive this grant, and to sign any necessary documents.
Okay, any further discussion on the motion as proposed? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So be it.
Thank you, Scott. Will you be looking at those tomorrow morning?
Yeah.
Or
They're
Monday?
not due till the 20th, so with plenty of time.
All right, so on Monday.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Next up is item 7D. This is a memorandum of agreement between the Hebron Board of Education and the town of Hebron regarding the use and removal of the portable classrooms located at Hebron Elementary School. The fire department presently uses those for training, and Superintendent Tassel thought maybe it was time, it was a one-year agreement, and they really weren't looking to renew that. But now that we have new superintendent, new chairman of the board, they had a conversation with the fire chief, and this one decided you know, that it really isn't an issue. And then furthermore, with the pipe replacement going on, we felt it would be a little bit confusing to have two contractors on the site at once. So let's just deal with the pipes and get the school back open and extend this so the fire department can still use it for training, and then look at it again in another year. So they're willing to extend it. I just need your approval to do that.
Yeah, just a quick note, the fire department does do a lot of training, interior search and rescue, hose advancement. It has been used extensively for very, very good and constructive training by the fire department. And these types of facilities are far and few in between. So I'm all in favor for, again, extending this out for this time period.
The police department used it for active shooter training.
Yes.
Continue. It's a phenomenal facility for that.
Perfect. Yeah.
So it serves more than one purpose.
At the Board of Ed meeting, I was there in my liaison duties, Nick presented a slideshow showing all the different things that they do inside there about it. It's phenomenal that we have this for training.
So, Mark, you want to read the motion? Since you've done training there?
Yes. Move that the Board of Selectmen approve the memorandum of agreement between the town of Hebron and the Hebron Board of Education pertaining to use by the Hebron Fire Department and removal of portable classrooms at Hebron Elementary School, and authorize that Andrew J. Tierney, town manager, to sign the agreement on behalf of the town.
Okay, hearing the motion, any further discussion? Any further discussion? All in favor, say by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So be it.
Mr. Chairman, I just have something I forgot in the whole business. You know the wetlands agent, we approved that at $38 an hour. Can we put that out?
Yeah, I should have probably brought that up on the town manager board. We interviewed and hired.
I have buyers for this, that's all
What, I'm sorry?
right. I have buyers for this in terms of how much we're paying on that. That's all right.
It's without benefits, so the hourly rate was more because of that.
Yeah.
It's actually $40 with no benefits.
Okay. Water under the bridge.
Okay. Next will be the consent agenda. These items are considered routine in nature, which the board may or may not discuss individually and may be voted on as a group. Any board member who wishes to discuss a particular item in this session or section may request the chair to move it for later discussion and a separate vote if necessary. And here we've got the approval of the minutes of February 12th, 2020, the workshop department. February 20th, 2020, the public hearing. February 20th, 2020, the regular meeting. And February 26th, 2020, the special meeting. And then the tax refund as listed. With that said, does anybody want anything removed for a separate vote or adjustment? Okay, hearing none. Okay, move the Board of Selectmen approve the following consent agenda items and motions contained therein as if individually adopted. Again, the approval of minutes of February 12th, 2020, the workshop of the fire department. February 20th, 2020, the public hearing. February 20th, 2020, the regular meeting. And February 26th, 2020, the special meeting, the tax refund is listed. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstentions, so be it.
Mr. Chair, can we go back to the 7E for a second? The draft agenda? For the March 19th.
Yeah.
I just had a point. If that's okay.
7E.
Yeah, you didn't really discuss the draft agenda, you kind of skipped over it.
Skipped over.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted to, and I know you covered Sandy, but I wanted to, instead of D, I wanted to just sort of up that with the task force wording, as opposed to, I don't want a full-time fire chief discussion, I can do that as maybe an opportunity to discuss, on 7D, however you want to word it, the creation of the task force as the old business instead of just the fire chief. Or is that not relevant?
I'm lost. What do you want to do on 7D?
I got it.
7E.
I got it.
7,
To the next
Yes.
agenda?
Yes,
Okay.
the 7D, I just thought we could update that, sort of as an evolution of our.
Oh, we were already gonna do that.
Yeah, I didn't know if we needed to talk about it, I just saw it.
Okay.
But there'll be a motion to create the task force and the goals and the.
I just was looking at the proposed agenda. And
Yeah, no, it's good.
But that's-
Absolutely.
Oh, good, I got you now.
Sorry.
I thought you were talking about this.
No. Sorry. That was
Okay.
a minor.
okay, at that point, we're down to our liaison reports. Right on time.
Get out of here quick, because I have nothing to report.
Yeah.
Okay, Gail.
Okay, Hebron Board of Ed. We remind everyone that trivia night will be held tomorrow. That's done by the Education Foundation. And then the next Board of Ed meeting is next Thursday, March 12th. Commission on Aging, as was previously mentioned, Chatham Health will be meeting at the Senior Center. Last Wednesday, I attended the monthly birthday luncheon and was pleased to be able to speak with many of our senior residents. And I wanted to remind everyone that they can sign up online to receive the center's monthly newsletter and receive it right in their inbox instead of having to wait for it to come in the mail. It lists all the programs and events that are scheduled. And that next meeting is next Wednesday, March 11th. Douglas Library. Again, I wanted to talk about the newsletter. The library newsletter is very informative and it has news events, programs going on in the library for kids, teens, adults. Again, you can go out on their website and sign up for that newsletter, which comes monthly. And that next meeting is Monday, March 9th. And I think we have a lot of meetings next week. Yeah. I'm gonna be meeting down at 5.
Okay, Peter.
So the Board of Finance, just a couple of things that I took away, and let many of you cover, but obviously a lot of discussion relative to the budget, the discussion of the audit extension, which you covered. So there's quite a bit of dialogue on that. The Fire and EMS workshop, and really work plans and put kind of where we are in terms of really needing to sort of vet that out, so it's good to hear that dialogue and that support and interest in continuing to problem solve together. There was dialogue around the finance person leaving, and we discussed that before at the board, within the Board of Ed, and some of the historic struggles with getting a consistent filling of that position, the turnover training, and how we can think about that differently. So there was good dialogue around that, as well as some of the other things that have come up with the Andover superintendent retiring, and again, some discussions around the broad general topic of how we can think differently about where we finance as a community. A bonding update in terms of just an update on where we were with that and the potential impact on the budget and WPCA. So a lot of substance and some good updates, but very much in concert with some of the things that we've been talking about and considered about. So I thought it was a very good meeting. Now, if there's anything I missed there, we spoke on, by all means. Okay. And also, Parks and Rec was at that meeting. There's some concerns about boys and girls travel teams and really sort of being misplaced within the leagues that they're in, and some discussion around how the Ram High School boys coach had some interference with one of the travel leagues. So there is quite a bit of dialogue around that, and some action that probably needs to be taken there. So they're working diligently on that. There's representatives from both leagues there to present that feedback. It was a really nice Boy Scout presentation for the development of the 9/11 memorial at the fire department the town. And so that was interesting to hear that presentation, how that would be supported by Parks and Rec, and ultimately just good to hear that a young man who presented wasn't alive during the event, but still pushing the importance of keeping the memory of those lost and obviously the tragedy alive in all of our memories in the community. So very, very well done there. And it was interesting, just as a side note, I told him how proud I was of him. I don't know him, but in terms of having the ability to think that way and bring that forward for the Scouts, because coincidentally earlier that day I was at the 9/11 memorial in New York. Coincidentally. And so I was hoping to figure out how I went from New York City to the Hebron meeting all within a few hours. But it was true, and how powerful that is there, and how many people were there, and how it's no less powerful than it was so many years ago. So great to see that sort of presentation. So that's moving forward to some degree. Typical dialogue or regular stuff around field maintenance and what's required. There were representatives from the town, different leagues there, softball and baseball, and kind of what's required to support what we do to make sure they're doing their part and not putting a burden on our maintenance. The backlog I referenced earlier, from $19,000 backlog in finance is being chipped away at, it's down to $12,000. Something I mentioned earlier in terms of a problem with the software and the way they went about collecting the money. So that's moving. Quite a bit of dialogue around the forest management and the recent open space meeting. A lot of sort of concern about getting enough information around the foresting and all that. So a lot of dialogue around that. So that was interesting, and obviously there's a need for others to do some more reporting from Rich on that. The budget discussion, the Andover wanting us to mow their fields was brought up, an update on Raymond Brook, and other variety of updates, including obviously Maple Fest, St. Peter's program, and things like that. So yeah, pretty substantive, interesting meeting, and a lot going on in the world of parks. Thank you.
John?
So land acquisition, they've identified, we identified a parcel on Airline Trail. It's 225 acres, it's well below market value. We're hoping to be able to get a large grant from the state that we'll be applying for, probably 60% covered. So that's exciting, and continue on with planning the extension or the continuation from Raymond Brook all the way down to the Lebanon Airline Trail.
Is that the piece that right now we're waiting for state approval from Boston or wetlands or something?
No, it's more a question of how to get through that neighborhood and how to go out on the road. You can get out to the road. What is the name? Is it Road? Mill Street. So it's like you get to Mill Street, you want to minimize the time you're on Mill Street because that's that's a pretty place. Right. And so then you want to get up into the neighborhood, right? We're not sure that there's at least one person that doesn't want that, but I think most people would say it's okay. So that's the issue. And then, but there are some other parcels that could facilitate that. So they are looking at that. We're trying to see if there's possibility of buying some of those parcels. One's pretty cheap because it's not very, it's a street, it's not usable for the road. So we continue on with that. Economic development did not meet. I'm going to suggest to them that even if they don't have a quorum, they should just meet. Just not have any building actions. Because we have some good stuff going on there. We have that, the branding effort and the elevator speech. I was at Bolton. Bolton's doing their own branding exercise. I'm not sure how to do it. I told them what we were doing. They're interested in that. But it's a good idea. So I hope we meet soon. The Hebron drinking water remediation. Now to do what's happening. It's an extremely complicated project, and they're doing a fabulous job. Looks like we're on schedule. A lot of players. Do we hire that clerk or?
No, we struggling getting. There's a simple permit that they have to approve. Well, it's not so simple, but we did get an email today, I don't know if you saw it, where we have to just add 2 places where we take water samples from, which means adding two additional sinks, which will be a change order, but not very big. Once we do that, they've already accepted they can't sketch, we don't have to prepare drawings for it, but they have accepted it in concept and will be putting out the approval of the permit in the next week.
So the clerk of the works proposed by the building committee, I think is a really good idea. I think it's going to ensure that we get this thing done properly and on time. It came to me about the sections, the project. So UConn is now getting very active in this, getting the sections and doing the study. And they're going to, it looks like there's going to be like a teaching workshop over the summer. Now they're kind of expanding because I love this idea. So on the UConn side, they're going to have proposals, do water sample, and take the sections and all that, but they're also going to have workshops at UConn about this. Cincinnati, EPA Cincinnati, the head of their water section and the assistant head are all over this now also. And the reason is because the way that we remedied it with orthophosphate is good for water lines, they've shown that, but they're also finding it doesn't really work for schools, and we're kind of proving it. So one of the things we want to do is take these sections from the different years, because they're different age sections, and either show why they don't work, or use them to create a more effective solution. So a lot of good stuff. It's high-level science, and they're excited. But we'll have a proposal at least in a couple of weeks. I'll be with you next week. But that's it for me.
I can add one thing. That expensive orthophosphate treatment that we have been using for 2 years, we are already looking at what needs to be done at the end of this project to make sure that contractors out of there and the water system gets approved by the Department of Public Health. So we asked what needs to be in place at the end, what are the tests, blah, blah, blah. We found out today again that we will not be required to continue using orthophosphate. We will be required to continue using the calcite system, which is for pH control. And that should be it. And then the regular water testing company, the professional Hungerford's, will handle all the testing and all the interaction between DPH and the Board of Education and the building. So we're already planning for the end of this.
Is there a market for a new phosphate system?
That we should ask Hungerford. That's a good question. I would doubt it because they're pretty much customized to the installation.
It's still a lot of
But we will
equipment
ask the
that's
question.
Somebody will want that.
Well, given that it didn't work.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
And ours, but I mean, if
We're replacing ours, but you can have this.
We're taking it out.
But calcite is cheap, and so water treatment's going to cost a little bit.
So we're out to bid for the RAM project. There was a couple of wrinkles with that with DOT that we're working on. We had to apply the DOT boilerplate to the bid, so there's going to be an addendum to that. But I haven't heard as of today, maybe by tomorrow, if that's going to push back the opening of the bid date. I'm not sure. If it does, it's only supposed to be like another week. So that won't be detrimental to the project, but the state is really working well with us. There was, because of the funding mechanism for this project, it was different. It's called the PAL agreement, and even though the budget was there was a 10% contingency for design, and then with all the input from the actual committee, We went over the original budget, but not over the 10%, but we needed to go back to the state to get approval to do that, but they're working with us. We're not over that threshold, so we're gonna work through that and hopefully have a resolution by next week. So that's moving forward. And then I met with Thurland from Wright Pierce, and we have an approval from DEEP finally on the actual, they're not gonna give us a physical permit, but they're gonna give us a letter that they approved the recommendations of the upgrades to the pump stations and the sewer. So that's, and we're almost finalized with, there's some housekeeping stuff to be done, that'll be done in a week or two, and then hopefully we'll be able to go out to bid for that. So that's fallen in place where it should be as well. That we're hoping to get DEP approval, and we finally did, so there's some other items that were pointed out that gotta get cleaned up, and then we'll be ready to go. So that's moving forward as well.
Okay. Good. And fire department met Tuesday night, which I was here, and the other entities haven't met. Maybe later in the week, next week, so I have nothing. So, with that, we have an executive session, personnel matter, the town manager annual evaluation. So I would move that we go into executive session, and we will be inviting in town manager Andrew Jeterni for 5-10 minutes.
And Diane Nanda. Just to review her.
Yeah.
Call for an increase of salary.
So, further review.
All right.
Board